candidates seeking seats on the Templeton Unified School District Board of Trustees. We thank all the candidates for stepping forward to represent their community and for joining us tonight. We also thank those in the audience for taking the steps to become engaged and educated voters. Our aim is to give our audience as much time as possible to hear full responses to their questions. Therefore, we shall carefully manage the time limits on the candidates' responses. We may have to cut their answers short to stay on schedule. We apologize in advance. And now we have a short statement.
Thank you and welcome for being here. I appreciate everyone taking the time to join us tonight and learn a little bit more about these four candidates. There are 6 candidates on the ballot. These are the 4 that want to participate in the forum and that we know are ready to serve if elected. And I just want to say thank you to all 4 of you right now for your willingness to serve. Appreciate that. Just a couple of housekeeping. Their restrooms are located right in this alcove here. The toilet.
Thank you. Yes, with this important task of managing our limited time is our volunteer timekeeper. Seated strategically in the front row, Janice Carr. She will be seated so that the candidates may easily see her. This tonight, seated from left to right, are Matt Allison, Janelle Arnett, Jen Griniger, and Jason Tezon. Let us begin with a 3-minute opening statements from the candidates in order decided earlier. Mr. Allison.
Thank you. First, I'd like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I know it's a big task because you're doing so many of them around the county, so thank you. I'd also like to thank all of you for coming here and taking time out of your busy schedules, and it's so great to see a full room. And thank you to VES for accommodating us here tonight. Again, my name is Matt Allison, and I've lived in Templeton for about 17 years. I have 3 kids in the school district, 1 in the high school, 1 in the middle school, and 1 at the elementary school. I've been a parent in the district for 10 years, and I'll have nearly 10 more years to go. So we've got a little time invested here. Currently, I work for the last 18 years, I work for a large educational organization in San Luis Obispo, where I serve as the Director of Operations. And in that role, I'm really well versed at bringing differing opinions and strategies together to create a common path forward. I'm used to working with and analyzing a large budget, and I have no problem. You know, I work well with many different groups in trying to find strategies that will work for everyone. I am a graduate of Cal Poly and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Since we moved to Templeton 17 years ago, one of the things I've always tried to do is find different ways to be of service. Some of the ways that I've done that, just to give a little background about myself, is that I served as the Vice President for the H-12 Bond Oversight Committee, which audited the funds that the school got from the bond that made all the great improvements that you see at our schools today. I currently serve on the Board of Directors for Templeton Youth Baseball, and I've coached rec sports here in Templeton for about the last 9 to 10 years, coaching baseball, basketball, and soccer. So being a trustee is just one more way that I feel that I can serve in our community. I'm running for school board because I believe in Templeton schools. I believe that in the school and community partnership that has been the Templeton way. I believe that our community has supported our districts so wonderfully over the whole time that I've lived here, and I want to keep that partnership going. I want to ensure that all of our students are provided with excellent academic opportunities, and that we provide and foster a culture of acceptance and inclusiveness at all of our schools. I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited to be able to answer your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I again want to also add to Matt's and just thank all of us for being here. You know, that this is a big task that we have. My name is Janelle Armette. I am a mother of 3 boys in this district. I'm also at the high school. I'm at BES and at TES. I am a mother, a small business owner. I am president of this PTO here at BES. Last year I was at TMS as the president of PTO, and I also worked at TES PTO. I'm a former teacher. I was born and raised in Northern California in a small town, much like Templeton. I moved here 20 years ago, but before that I went to school at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee, where I obtained my degree in education. And I am currently, well, kind of on the slow track, but I am looking at my master's in education also. I love kids. I have a heart for kids, especially the Templeton kids. I am committed to all students also, and the adults that support them, which is all of you, and I thank you for being here tonight because that shows your support. I understand that to have a thriving school district, it is a combination of involved parents, excellence in education for our kids, and excellent teachers. So I will work hard to keep that community going. I believe in a positive school culture, and I believe the way to do that is through our administrators. So I'm excited to be on the school board to have that trickle-down effect that will affect each and every one of our kids. One of the reasons why I'm here is obviously for my kids, but everything I do with PTO or any of the roles I've played at the school district, I keep all of your kids in mind, and I want you to know that. And in this role, I feel like it's just the next step for me to be able to have my influence reach all of you even further. My 3 main points that I will focus on, number 1 would be excellence in education. Your kids are here to learn. And I believe to do that, we need to have safe learning environments, and we need to have excellent teachers, administrators, and staff. And I believe in them, and I believe that to be able to get the best out of them is the way to get the best out of our children. And I'm committed to healthy learning environments district-wide, and I am also, because of PTO, very involved in parent participation. So hopefully we can make that bond all together and go forward. And for 4 years, I'd hope to serve you in that capacity. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Greninger, and I have a 4th grader in the district, and he's been here since kindergarten. I'm also married to a wonderful husband and a dad to Ben, and I'm running for school board because I see that parents have less of a voice, and I'm hearing from a lot of you that that is what you're feeling as well. California is the most funded state in education in the nation, and yet we're putting out one of the worst results. We're currently ranked 44 out of 50 states in education. Our school here, VES, which is the one I'm familiar with most, my son attends here. Currently, 50% of our children overall are not meeting standards in English and language, and 60% are not meeting standards in math. And that's, of course, because largely due to the pandemic, but those results were already starting to come down before the pandemic, and we're seeing that statewide. I've also been hearing from many teachers that they haven't felt supported, and I think that there's some work that can be done there. And we have a trend with admin leaving the district. We've lost quite a few of we've lost our assistant superintendent last year, we lost our high school principal. We've had quite a bit of turnover in the last several years, and I want to find out why exactly that's happening and seek to see what we can do to rectify that. My background is that I've spent 16 years as a therapist. I have a bachelor's degree in child development, and a Master's of Science in Counseling, and I worked in the field for 16 years. Most of my work was with children. I worked with them in the foster care system, also in a school district, and in private practice. So in the population that I worked with most, I had transgender and gay population students that I saw in my private practice, and I worked with drug and alcohol treatment, and also with the HIV and AIDS population. I am the chapter chair for Moms for Liberty, and if you haven't heard of that organization, it's a nonpartisan organization and a nonprofit. It's nationwide, and I have been, over the last 2.5 years, working in that capacity as a volunteer and attending all of our school board meetings throughout the county. It's given me quite a unique opportunity to see what's happening. I thank you very much.
Yeah, hi, my name's Jason Tezar. I've been here in Templeton for the last 2 years, but been in North County. I was in Paso, living here since 2015. Here with my wife and 2 kids. One of our eldest is in 1st grade, and then our youngest is 2 years old. I'm involved in the community. I helped put on the Templeton 4th of July parade last year. I also coached the Templeton youth baseball, one of the farm teams, this past season as well. I currently work in cybersecurity as a solutions architect. My professional background is around cybersecurity and data science. I'm an engineer at heart. I went to the University of Buffalo and majored in computer science and political science. So, dealing a lot with, numbers and programming and things like that. And I think that those skills can help, serve the schools and the boards around, dissecting the really complicated stuff that we've got, like a budget, and making sure that those things go smoothly. I wouldn't be the man I am today if it weren't for having such a great school system and support system, growing up in the Bay Area. I still remember and still talk to some of the amazing teachers that I had in high school and middle school, and that really helped my love of learning and also love of questioning things, as you would as an engineer. And so I think that that's important here in the schools. I want to make sure that the students here get quality education, so that they can be, the best citizens and, Americans that they can, as they, grow up and leave the school. I've lived, I want to be here and serve. And, I'm not politically involved in any particular organization. I want to stay away from, that kind of stuff and just focus on the things that are important. And, I want to focus on the children and our community and their best interests, and not a particular, agenda. Thank you.
What is the major issue facing the school district, and how would you address it? Ms. Arnett, you are first.
Well, first of all, I love our school district, but there's always room for improvement. And if you're not moving and looking towards the future, then you're not progressing. And we are Templeton, and we need to stay forward-facing. If I said that there was something that I think needs to be improved, I think it's been touched on here. We have a cycle of administration that is leaving, and there's a trickle-down effect that happens when that happens to our schools. When an administrator leaves, then the teachers then have to have like a new course of action, it's a new protocol, maybe some changes, and that affects our students. And the high school, the middle school, every school, I think Renee is our longest standing administrator. So my goal for these 4 years would be to retain administration. And they need the support to do that. They need positive culture to do that. They need teachers to be on board to do that. And they need a school board that is supporting them to be able to do that. So I would say that would be a goal of mine that would reach all of your kids, is if we can retain these administrators and be creative in doing that. Maybe we maybe you find a way that you think would be helpful. Email us, tell us your ideas, because it's not just a board, but we have to hear from the people maybe sometimes to get some good, fresh ideas. So I think I would be available and open for communication in that way.
Hey there. So I see that our biggest challenge right now is dealing with the learning loss that we're experiencing, and it's no different than any other district. We have, I stated already that the statistics that we're seeing here, and I know that overall in our district, the amount of students district-wide that are struggling is 70% when you look at all the different categories. And that's very concerning to me. We want our kids to have excellence in their education, and we want them to be prepared for when they're ready to go to college or to a technical school or to whatever it is that they're planning to do with their future. And we have, right now, we're flush with our budget, which is great, but a lot of that money was a one-time source, and so we need to plan for what that's going to look like in the future, and we need support staff that is going to be able to help with our students coming up, and then I think we need to think outside the box as to what we might be able to do that's not going to cost any money. Some of the ideas that I have is, what about having older students that are not struggling with their academics, and they can volunteer, and we can have incentives for them to be doing tutoring after school. Or we could have grandparents that are willing to come in and be with our kids on campus and help out in the classroom and do some of the stuff that would take things off the plate of the teachers so that they can focus on that. That's all free, and I know our community is ready to help in those ways.
Mr. Tazar.
Echo around, the learning loss and kids catching up, especially, after COVID, and I think that that's, a really important thing that we need to, look hard on. The tutoring of the older students, I think that's a great idea. I think, possibly, looking at, additional tutoring and things like that. And also, how do we build these systems to, make sure that this, doesn't happen, in an ongoing basis? Because yes, we lost a lot of things with COVID, but something like this may or may not happen again, we don't know. And so I think building those systems and, giving those kids the ability to not only, get to where they need to be, but, further.
Mr. Allison.
For me, the biggest issue or challenge that we have right now as a district is really making sure that we stay focused on what is important, right? And that we don't get sidetracked by any issues or anything that is going to deviate take us from supporting the mission of our school district, which I wrote down is providing exceptional opportunities for learning and personal growth, nurture a joy for learning, and foster a culture of excellence and care for all students. There's a lot of issues out there right now that are hitting school boards that are really created and designed only to create division and to sidetrack us from what's important. And how we're going to address learning loss and how we're going to address administrative retention is not getting bogged down in some of those issues, but staying laser focused on the things that are important for student success. Things like academic excellence and high quality extracurricular activities and diverse enrichments and creating multiple pathways for kids to be college and career ready, and really creating an environment in our schools where all kids feel safe and welcome.
Thank you. On how the district can best serve all students, GATE, ELL, special ed, and students of color.
I'm so glad GATE was brought up. I actually brought this up the other day because I believe that we have students that need to be pushed harder and further than they're being pushed right now. I would love to see a GATE program at this school district, but what it comes down to is budget and someone to, I actually taught GATE in Paso, and I loved the program that it filtered kids through. So I'm versed in this. I think it'd be a great program to implement here in our school district. I think including everyone is happening. I'm on campuses and I see kids and I see the counselors talking to kids that need help. And I feel like, you know, if we could bring in more extracurriculars, if kids feel that they're included in a group, whether it is an extracurricular or it's our ag program, they're going to come to school. And so the more opportunities that we can give them to feel connected, whatever that might be, we need to do that for them. And if we have the funds to do it, then we should start programs that kids come to us. I mean, kids came and created a new program at the high school, this new club that was formed. They had an engineering or a computer club. The kids are creative these days. We need to listen to them and fill the needs wherever they are. We need to meet them where they are.
I agree with Janelle that I think it would be wonderful if we had GATE programs here for our kids. They certainly show us that they can achieve that. And I don't see that we have any sectors of our kids that aren't receiving the services that they need. My child has special needs and has an IEP, and I'm very pleased with the IEP team that he's had. I think that, you know, as I used to work at a school district as a school counselor and in Sanger, and I worked with a population of kids. We did a study where these were the students that were performing great on tests, but they were not getting their homework done. And so most of the time, these are students that, you know, have something going on at home that's preventing them from being able to get their homework done, whatever the reason may be, but they were smart students. And we did group therapy with those kids and helped raise their self-esteem and helped figure out what was going on that was preventing them from getting that homework done. And so that could be another avenue that we could look at here. I think that our services are doing well with all of our student populations currently.
So when I was in junior high, one of my teachers thought I was special needs, and it turned out that I was just bored and not engaged. And so I think, you know, kind of regardless of what the group is that we're describing, like being connected and being pushed is extremely important. And I think that, you know, whether it be, you know, somebody in GATE or somebody with, you know, language barrier issues, feeling connected, feeling engaged, and being pushed to continue that learning wherever you happen to be, I think is incredibly important.
As a district, we need to take a look at all of these programs, and one of the first steps we need to do is engage with the families and also engage with the teachers and find out what is working and what's not working and where our shortcomings are. Okay, I would love to see a GATE program. I think that would be just another fabulous offering for our schools. But one area that I know that we can make some improvements on is some supports for our EL students. Our EL students is not as a large population as it is in some of the surrounding districts, but their families and students that are generally quiet and reserved and don't come to meetings and don't engage. And so we need to, as a district, reach out and engage them. And when we work with those students and they reclassify to become English proficient, we need to make sure that we just don't stop there. Those students have a lower acceptance rate in the universities and the colleges than non-EL students. And there's a reason, is because just because you pass the LCAT, just because you've been reclassified as English proficient, does not mean that you have every tool that every other kid needs. And so we need to continue to provide supports to them as they move through our school all the way through graduation.
Specifically, will you do to support student success and academic achievement? Can you speak to those not on a path to college as well?
Yeah, so, you know, I think having the right goals to getting, you know, kids educated and then into society is very important. Not every kid is, you know, gonna wanna go to college. Not every kid, you know, may get into the college of their choice. And I think, trade schools are an extremely crucial and important thing. So, me and my background is around, computer programming. When I was in high school, I took a 30-day computer programming class, and that's what got me into, the industry, eventually. And I think, offering those types of opportunities, I think, the ag and welding and all of those things are extremely important and, crucial and good jobs for, students. And then also, college enrollment, I don't know if people saw the Newsweek article from last week, is down 10% in high school students, meaning they're not applying to college. So, making sure that they have the ability and the opportunity to go to college, get into college, and succeed in college is crucial as well.
Mr. Allison.
That's as well why we are all here, right? We want all of our students to succeed, but not every student's success story is going to look the same. I think back on mine when I graduated from high school. I went off to university for a year and realized that I needed something else. And so I joined the Marine Corps and served that way for a few years. And then when I got out and I went back to work, and then I eventually made my way back to school and graduated from Cal Poly. So education is not, I always say education is not always a straight line, right? Every student has to find their own path. And so we need to be able to provide multiple pathways for students as they move through our school district. We have our CTE programs and we need to keep supporting those and expand those where we can. We need to let kids, we need to create any opportunities we can to make sure that kids are not just college ready, but workforce ready. We can do that with partnering with community partnerships, with community organizations, with local businesses, and really try and get some of our kids who are maybe not looking for college so they can find what it is that they want, what works for them. Okay, it's not about us trying to force every kid into into the hole that we want them to go into, but it's rather we need to find out from them what is going to work for them, so that we can support them to get there whatever way we can.
I think ensuring that all students have an exemplary education, academically challenging, like we set goals for the kids, but I have a child personally that I thought he wouldn't want to go to college. So I was that parent that was saying, what can Templeton give my kid? Because my child doesn't want to go to college right now. And there's welding, there was ag, there were different avenues, but I'm from Northern California. Coding is really important in that area. I'm thinking, gosh, we could expand programs like that. But again, we need teachers or people that know how to teach those programs. It could be an after-school program. I know at VES here we have after-school programs with the gardening and the running clubs and different clubs that teachers are good at, and they end up creating a club around that. TES can have that. TMS can have that. We can start young, and then once they get to the high school, we can expand on those programs. So I would love to see something like that go through the district, like we have here at VES, and I think that's possible. And again, I think that that's looking around us and seeing the needs of the kids. Like I said, like where our society is going, and I saw that with coding, or I saw that with ag. We live in a very agricultural area. We live around wine, we live around PG&E. Like what's around here that our kids can do when they leave here and be successful? Because we're not just here to, teach them. We want them to be accessible in life. We want them to be lifelong learners.
So I had a high school graduate that just graduated from our schools here in Templeton last year approach me a week ago with an issue I had not heard about before, and that was that in junior high, she was not doing well in math. She was struggling, and nobody explained to her that if she didn't get any tutoring, if she didn't bring those grades up, that right out the gate in high school, she was going to be in a remedial math class that automatically prevented her from going to a four-year university. She had no idea. And she was pretty angry that she found out too late that she was forced to go to a two-year university when that was not her dream. So I think that's one of the things that we can be doing, is making sure that our students are ready. And who would have ever thought that as early back as junior high, that that's going to set the course for what you're going to be able to accomplish in high school. And I think that, you know, we need to prepare our kids with some common sense programs, teaching them about finances, how to do their taxes. We need to bring back some of those types of programs. I know that Dave Ramsey has an excellent program for kids in school that helps them learn how to do a budget and how to stay out of debt. I think that would be extremely valuable. My husband is taking the welding class here. It's a fantastic program, and I know we have lots of those. We need to expand upon them, I think, and we need to prepare our kids for things other than just college.
Well, the first thing we have to do is listen, right? As a board member, you listen. You listen to all of the stakeholders that are involved in the decisions that are made, whether it's parents and families, students, teachers, and community members and organizations. We need to listen. We also need to educate our parents, or just make sure everyone knows that there are many ways for them to participate in our schools as it is right now. And it's not just going to board meetings. There's school site councils, there's the LCAP process, there is PTO, there is volunteering in the classroom. I know some of those are difficult, but we need to come up with, difficult to find time to do those, but we need to be able to reach out into our community and find out what's gonna work for our families so that they can feel more engaged. And we're gonna do that by being able to connect with them through listening, through reaching out to them. And then, you know, as a board, we have to remember we're just one of 5 persons, right? So we need to make sure that we're letting our board members know that, you know, we need to, as a group, make sure that we have united front, make sure that we are engaging with all of these stakeholders so that they feel welcome, that you can come into a board meeting and ask a question or make a statement, that you can go into your school's office and request an appointment, or, you know, have some, you know, or find out some more information. So it's on the board to be able to reach out to the stakeholders, not the other way around.
In 2019, I was a part of the school engagement committee that met here at VES. That committee, this was the exact topic that we approached. And I feel like some of the changes with Parent Square has been a good way to communicate with the parents. That's been nice. We feel like we're all on the same page. Now we just need to make sure all the parents are on Parent Square, which I feel like this year is a lot better than last year. There's still some kinks that need to be worked out. We talked about having those signs out of the schools. I know we're updating all of them. I know PTO is involved with that, and I know that that's a way to drive by the school and know what's going on. That's an easy way to get information out to everyone that comes and picks up their kids and drops them off. I know that personally, I've worked with a lot of parents because of PTO, and I work hard to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and included, and trying to call parents and sending out messages individually to make sure that they know that this is a place where they're welcome and we want them to be involved. I feel like to get the best out of your kids' education, parents, you have to be involved in their education. You have to show up for them. You have to ask them questions. You have to know who their friends are. You should all be doing that already at home, but not everybody is, and that's okay. But if you just show up for just a little bit of time or do one thing well, it makes a big impact for all of our kids. So I hope that that's communicated.
Thank you. How will you get the current board members on board?
Yeah, that's very true. There is a disconnect. I think that there is a lack of communication that is occurring across the board. I know that a lot of parents have said to me, I gave up trying to communicate with the board because I'm not hearing back from them, and I don't feel like I'm being listened to, so I gave up trying. And I think that's really sad, and I've heard it from many, many parents over the last 2 years in several different occasions. I know that I've also heard from teachers that they feel as though they don't have a voice, that they feel stifled in being able to really talk about how they feel and what's going on. We need to have some kind of a mechanism that's going to help them to be able to communicate what their grievances are, and what they feel is going well in maybe an anonymous way so that they're not under the gun. And our board is a 5-member board. I think that it's pretty easy for them to get along, and that as adults we can figure out a way to bridge any gaps that we're seeing and how we think that something needs to be handled. I'm a trained mediator and I'm a therapist. I'm used to that. That's my #1 skill, is listening and bringing people together. And I look forward to doing that for the district.
So obviously, listening is key, but so is talking. And so, that's kind of the pairing of communication that really is key, and making sure that each one of these 3 groups is not only like listening to one another, but also talking to one another. And I think, engagement and connecting, these different groups and really hearing what everybody is saying is really, really key and important. One of the things I liked that Paso did when I lived there was a yearly community survey. So these are things that we could probably engage, with our parents and our teachers and the school board and the community at large in trying to bridge that gap. And in terms of trying to bring the rest of the board along, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that's their goal, is to ultimately serve the students and the schools. And I talk for a living, so I think I could be fairly persuasive.
Ms. Arnett, to make their closing statements. Mr. Tizar?
Well, thank you everybody for being here. This has been a really, really good turnout. I'm just really glad that there were so many people here, that showed up. So, like I said before, I'm an engineer. I'm a pragmatic person. I don't live on any, extreme. I like to, look at what the problem is, identify what it is, and figure out, what are the right ways that we can come and do what's best for our students. Because at the end of the day, this is why we're here, is to serve our students. And, these kids come first. And a lot of the challenges that we've had, during COVID and post-COVID, are going to continue to linger through, these kids as they grow up and go through these schools. So I think really trying to, bridge that gap between the learning loss and the gap around where kids need to be in terms of, their education. And, one of my favorite Mark Twain quotes is, I never let my education get in the way of my learning. And it's because learning's fun. And we should make sure that, these kids are engaged and that they're learning and are set up for, their future as they become, citizens and Americans and go out into the society and contribute. Thank you.
League of Women Voters for putting on this event, and all of you for coming out and the great questions. I'm sure there's a lot more questions in those cards, and we could have been here all night. The school board election in Templeton is one of the most important elections that we have. It's the one election where we in Templeton get to decide for ourselves, right? We're not sharing our vote with Paso or Atascadero or anywhere in the state. This is where we get to put our stamp on how we want our community to look and how we want our schools to function. Okay? So we discussed a lot of important points here tonight, and those are all very important. This election is also about values, right? I sincerely believe that. It's about respect, it's about listening, it's about collaboration, it's about finding ways that we can lift each other and our students up, and it's about leadership. We need to make sure that as a board, and as a board member, I will make sure that I collaborate and work with all the stakeholders involved. So that's parents and families, that's teachers, that's staff, that's students, that's our community members, our taxpayers, any organizations. We need to make sure that everyone gets involved, and we need to create that collaboration. One of the things that makes Templeton schools great, and one of the reasons why my wife and I moved here 17 years ago, was because of the schools. It's been a community and school partnership for a long time, and that's just been the Templeton way. And I want to continue working towards and keeping that tradition of excellence of our Templeton schools moving forward, okay? And I think together, all of us, we can do that. And so I appreciate your questions tonight, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Thank you again all for coming tonight. I thought about running for school board a lot, and this year it opened up and it felt like the best opportunity for me and my family. And I know that I'm ready to serve. I've served in the capacities of this school district for a long time. I have a heart for kids and a heart for the families of this school district, and this is a 4-year commitment, and I understand what it involves. And I'm excited for the future of our kids, and I want it to be positive, and I want it to be all the things we talked about tonight. You know, and again, I want to focus on academic excellence because that's what your kids are here for. And I feel like we are nurturing that environment, and how can we make it better? Like, that is always the goal, not just staying where we are, but advancing forward together. And the way to do that for me is to hear from you. And I feel like over the past 10 years that I've been really involved, I've created a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships. And I feel like as a board member, I would be somebody that I hope that I would be somebody that you would feel comfortable with coming to, sending an email to, asking questions to the best of my ability that I could answer them. But hopefully that relationship that I built would be something that would be to my advantage and to your advantage, that I would be able to be someone that can speak for you, because that's important to me, to be able to be here for the parents and for the kids. I have children at all of the schools. I've seen all of the sites. I understand what's going on in the district, and I feel like that's important to move forward. I too would appreciate your vote. I'm just excited for our kids and their future, and I'm glad we're out of COVID, and I'm glad I didn't have to serve on that board that had to deal with those hard decisions, but I'm ready to move forward now. Thank you.
So one of the things that I would really like to do is have office hours or coffee hour weekly, so that, and it could be at various times, so that I can meet the needs of families that are working or maybe have a more flexible schedule, or whatever the case may be, so that it's clear that I'm available and here for you to come and talk to, because I know sometimes sending an email is not quite what is the best way for you to go about communicating with a board member. And sometimes you just need to sit down and vent. And I want to provide that opportunity. I have the time to do that. I have a flexible schedule. And I think that that would be a plus for parents and teachers and community members to be able to sit face-to-face with the board member on a regular basis. One of the things I failed to answer earlier was about vandalism and vaping. And I think that when our kids are not being engaged and when they're having mental health issues, that's when we see an increase in those kinds of behaviors. And we know that that's occurring right now. We know that that's a big struggle for kids throughout our nation. They've been through a really, really hard couple of years. And you know, I'm hearing from teachers that learning is not the same as it was before the pandemic, that kids are kind of walking around in a fog. And so we need to figure out what we can do to help them move forward from that, and help our teachers know how to deal with that issue. And I'm ready to take on those issues and be here for our community. I love Templeton. I want to see our ag leadership come back, like I mentioned before. And my goals are to focus on core academic basics, restoring better communication between families, the district, and the teachers, with greater transparency to build trust.
Some final comments. Again, thank you to my fellow volunteers, the runners, the sorters, and the fabulous timekeeper, but also a special